Disclaimer: this is audio horror fiction. If darkness or the creatures it holds scares you, leave now. Still listening? Good. Then let's begin.
I'm going to die today.
I looked up from my work to see Colin standing in front of my desk. He was staring at me solemnly as if waiting for an answer. "Excuse me?" I said.
I'm going to die today.
I had hoped I'd misheard him. Apparently not. I set aside my pen and folded my hands together on top of the stack of worksheets. "Why would you say that, Colin?"
The man told me.
"What man?" My skepticism quickly turned to concern.
The one that visited me while I was sleeping.
"Do you mean in your dreams?"
Yeah.
I sighed. "Do you remember when we had that talk about how dreams aren't real?"
Yeah.
The lesson seemed to have been lost on him. "So if this happened in a dream, was it real?"
Yeah.
I loved my kids, all 23 of them, but it could be challenging to teach the more abstract concepts to a 7-year-old. That and the behavioral problems that sometimes popped up were probably the most frustrating parts of teaching the 2nd grade. Okay, so if you know dreams are not real, and you know that the man was part of a dream, doesn't that mean the man wasn't real?
No.
Colin replied confidently. The kid logic was strong in this one.
He was real, and he told me I'm going to die today. He's going to do bad things to all of us.
Does this have anything to do with nutters, Colin? Nutters, a recently deceased class guinea pig, had been many of the students' first brush with death. We'd spent a good portion of a class period discussing death and what it meant, and it seemed that Colin had been very affected by it all. It wasn't unusual for children to spend some time almost obsessing over death, while they adjusted to this new and admittedly frightening idea of mortality, so his reaction wasn't entirely unexpected.
No,
he said. "You know you can talk to me or any of the other teachers if you have questions or are worried."
Okay.
"You're alright?"
Yeah.
"Okay, sweetie, good. Why don't you use up the rest of quiet time to finish up your math problems?" He nodded and returned to his desk, which was in a cluster with 5 others. Poor kid, I thought, as I turned back to my grading. Must have been one hell of a realistic dream. It seemed Colin had hardly sat down before I heard sniffling, the telltale sign of oncoming waterworks. The little girl beside him, Anita, was staring at her lap, her hands balled into tiny fists and her face pulled into the fierce scowl of someone trying very hard not to cry. Not wanting to call any more attention to her, I got up and crossed to their desk cluster. "Anita," I said, crouching beside her desk, "what's wrong?"
Colin says we're all gonna die.
She sniffled.
Just like nutters.
"Colin." I gave Anita a comforting pat on the back while I frowned at the boy.
I told him it's not true.
Raj, who sat across from Anita, said.
'Cause dreams aren't true, right?
"Right," I agreed.
See?
Raj said smugly. Anita continued to fight back tears, despite my reassurance that it had only been Colin's imagination, and I let her go to the activities corner to calm down. Once she settled with a coloring book, I asked Colin to come out with me into the hall. "Can you tell me why you said that to Anita?" I asked sternly once we were alone. He shrugged and looked down at his feet. "Do you understand why you shouldn't have said it?"
Because it's scary?
"Right. It's not nice to scare others because of a bad dream."
But
he paused and fiddled with the hem of his shirt.
But it wasn't just a normal dream. It felt different.
"Different how?"
I don't know.
Well, I was cut off by the sound of someone sobbing loudly from inside the classroom. I rushed back inside to a sea of crying children, their faces red and tear-stained and frightened. When I finally quieted them enough to find out what was wrong, they all called out some variation of, "I don't want to die." With some prodding, it came out that one of the other students had asked Anita why she was at the activity table during quiet time, and she told them about Colin's dream and his insistence that there really was a man waiting in the shadows to kill them all. Okay. I held up my hand, my signal for silence. And soon the only noise they were making was the occasional sniffle. Colin had a bad dream, and we all know bad dreams aren't real, right? Right, the children chorused back at me. Our imaginations can get scary sometimes, but can that hurt us? Barring actual mental illness, I added in my head. No. Right, so do you guys think you really have anything to worry about? A distant bang, like someone dropping an armload of heavy books down the hall, stopped me mid-sentence. A scream followed. All of the children looked to the door, more curious than afraid. All of the children, except for Colin. He was looking at me, his pale eyes wide, and he said, "It's the man." There was another bang, louder, closer, and the PA system kicked on. Miss Wardle, our plump and maternal principal, spoke in her usual cheerful way from the loudspeaker.
All staff, please be advised we are under code black. Please follow proper procedure.
Time seemed to stop, or rather, time kept going and I froze. For a long moment, I could only think of one thing. Code black. Code black. Shooter in the school. It was the sound of one of the students sneezing that snapped me out of it. They were all staring at me, waiting for my reaction so that they could determine their own. As quickly and calmly as I could, I walked to the door, turned the lock, and flipped off the lights. Okay, I know it's usually time for reading, but today we're gonna play a game, okay? My mind was racing as I motioned for them all to stand. Everyone, get up. Hurry, hurry. Let's all go to the back of the room and sit against the wall. Samuel, no pushing. We have to go fast, but be very quiet so we don't lose. You guys are doing great. I don't know how I kept my voice from cracking. Once I had them seated as far from the door as possible, I sat in front of them and held up my hand. Do you guys remember when we learned to sign the itsy bitsy spider? I asked in a whisper. They nodded. We're going to do that now. If we stay very quiet, we'll win. So signing is okay, but no talking. Understood? I led them through the first few signs of the song. One we had learned from a deaf guest speaker who had come in to teach them about how being different was okay, and tried to keep the smile on my face. Out in the hall, 3 more shots went off. Each one was accompanied by muffled screams coming from somewhere outside the classroom. My kids jumped with each one, their signing slowing with uncertainty, and they began to look nervous. "Miss?" Anita whispered. There was an understanding on her face, a knowledge that something was very wrong even if she didn't quite comprehend just what it was. "It's okay," I said. "It's going to be alright. We just have to stay very quiet and very still."
"I don't want to play anymore,"
someone else said. "Just a little longer. You can do it." It was hard to sound convincing when I didn't want to play anymore either. The tense quiet of our classroom was broken by the rattling of the door handle. When one of the girls started to cry, I quickly grabbed her into my lap and covered her mouth with one hand while pressing the index finger of the other against my lips. "Please, just don't make any noise," I begged them with a look. "Please, just don't let the bad man hurt us," they replied in kind. I could hear the footsteps pacing along the corridor, the assailant's sneakers squeaking noisily in the otherwise eerie hush that had fallen over the school. They seemed to be fading, going further down the wing towards the music room, but I remained rigid, still holding tight to the crying girl while she clutched likewise to me. Something slammed against the classroom door, making the heavy wood shake in its frame. My kids screamed and cowered against one another, crying out for their parents and that they wanted to go home. Another blow to the door, like someone was throwing themselves bodily against it. The shooter was trying to get in. I had to make a choice. I pried my student's arms from around my neck and forced her from my lap so I could stand. A quick scan of the room showed that the nearest heaviest item was one of the small plastic chairs the kids sat in. It wouldn't be much good going up against a gun, but it was all that I had. "Stay behind me, understand?" I used my best teacher voice, the one that usually commanded respect and immediate compliance. Today I wasn't sure they had really heard me at all. "I don't want to die." I bit back a sob of my own as I stood in front of my kids with nothing but a chair. "I don't want to die." The door shuddered again. Someone screamed, a primal furious sound from the hallway, followed by a heavy-winded grunt, and our door shook again. But this time with less force as someone fell against it. "Give it to me, Mr. Johnson," the music teacher was shouting. There was scraping against the door, the sounds of a struggle as Mr. Johnson tried to wrestle the gun away.
"Daddy!"
Colin had also recognized the sound of his father's voice. Before I could stop him, he darted past me and ran to the door. His hand was reaching for the knob when the gun went off again. Red sprayed my desk behind him and Colin fell backwards, his upraised hand falling limply next to him. "Get down!" Mr. Johnson was shouting over the screams of the children. "Get down, you son of a bitch!" I crawled forward and knelt beside Colin's still body. His one good eye was fixed vacantly on the ceiling. "It's okay, kids. You're safe now. I've got the gun. You're okay." Mr. Johnson continued to assure the hysterical children through the door, telling them that they didn't have to be afraid anymore, that they were okay. They were okay. I cradled his dead son against my chest, silent tears pouring down my cheeks, and I let him think that for a few moments longer. Thank you all so much for listening. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to help feed the dark machine. Make sure to share with other fans of horror. And if you have a story that you would like for me to read, check the description below for details.